G'day folks, in this video I'll show how you can solve this crazy 𝘼𝘽𝙊 Mercury. Now on the Mercury, this puzzle has the white face as a one face, which means when we turn that outer collar, those circle parts turn with the outer collar. Every other face on the Mercury is a zero face. And so the crazy 𝘼𝘽𝙊 all has zero faces, or has zero faces for every face. The Mercury, the white face, is a one face. And that makes things quite a bit more interesting straight away. So the solve is a nice little solve. There's a few more challenges in this Mercury. It definitely ups the difficulty from the crazy 𝘼𝘽𝙊s. And let me start by looking at the triangles, because that's the thing that we would start with normally. And we notice down the bottom, if I look at the white face as the top, the yellow face as the bottom, these corners down the bottom, they just go into place like that, because they can't actually go anywhere. So the triangles can't escape from their orbits there. So that's at most one turn to put those things right. But you can see, for example, here, I've got a corner with two green pieces. Well, that's never going to happen normally, and that's all because of this white face. So what I would do here is initially just turn any corners however I can to get any pieces placed. There's that one. It's an orange that can turn like that. And then say this red can turn around as well to put there. That will solve some of them and leave others unsolved. So I look on the top and say, there's a green. Well, that's got to go into that position, or into that position. And to be honest, I'll put it into that position because it'll bring a blue out. So all I want to do is turn it up, put the green on, undo. The blue has now escaped. I'll do the same thing, turn that position up, put the blue on, undo, which has brought a green out. I can now put that green into its position. And when they're all done, obviously all the white triangles will be done as well. So that's almost as quick, but a little bit more work there for getting the triangles done. Now, we're nearly going to do the edge wings. But before we do that, we're going to check for something that can happen at the end, and that's a single twisted corner. And you can deal with that at the end, but it's a lot more work, and it's quite annoying when you get to that point. You've done so much stuff and then you got to fix that. So I'm going to check for it now. The way that I want to check for it, obviously these corners down the bottom must be in their correct sort of state. The ones up the top, they're the ones I'm not so sure about, because, for example, it would have been perfectly possible for me to have the corner like that and then place the green into here and then the red into here and keep the corner in that orientation. There's no way that I know whether this is the correct one or not. So what I'm going to do first is just basically place 4 white corners onto the white face, and I'm going to do that as simply as I can. At this point, I can just turn that bottom face. I'm just going to do up, up, down, downs here. To get that one in, and I don't really care if they're correctly oriented or not. So I'll search for another white one, white, blue, red, take that underneath there. I will put it in so that it is oriented correctly because I can, so it's just going to make it easier when I check for the single twisted corner. There'll be one more here. Okay, the white corners are all correctly placed. The triangles haven't moved. Now let's have a look at the yellow corners. What we want to do is get those yellow corners into a correct cycle, as in solved or a 3 cycle. We don't want a swap of corners. So let's have a look where things are at. Yellow, there's nothing there solved. If I turn it like that, that's in position. Yellow, green, red to there, yellow, blue, red to there, yellow, orange, green to there. Okay, that is a nice position there, and I've just got a 3 cycle, which means that's fine. Now what I want to check is the orientation of these yellow corners. I suppose that's the nice thing about getting these correct. I just need to worry about the yellow corners. So what I'm looking at is whether the overall number of twists of these yellow corners is 0 or something else. Let's have a look at this first one. This one, the yellow should be there, but it has been twisted clockwise. So let's call that +1. This one here, that has been twisted anti-clockwise. So we'll call that -1, +1, -1, brings me back to 0. That's fine. This one here, this should be there, but it has been twisted anti-clockwise. So let's call that -1. And this one has been twisted anti-clockwise. So it's another -1. So I'm actually now up to -2. Now, what I'm looking for is an overall number of twists of 0 or 3 or -3. Because if it's 3, it's the same as 0 in terms of these number of twists. So this is a -2. What that means is I need to do some sort of fix on corners somewhere to get this, let's say, to a -3. Now, I can't change any of these. So if I was to come, and what I mean by that is, I can, but it's not going to help because the only way I can get these triangles back is to do that. So there's no point doing any of these corners. I have to do one on the white face. And I want to get to a position of -3, which would be the same as 0. So what I'm going to do is just grab any of these white corners, give it a twist, which is a -1 now. So with those yellows, I had a -2 there. I've got a -1 here. That is essentially the same as 0. And what do I mean by that? Well, this is a 0 currently. This is 0 twists. If I go -1, -2, -3, hey, look, it's back to 0. So having done that, got myself that being a -1. Overall, I have -3, which is exactly what I need to have. I need to now keep this corner as it is there, but I need to replace these triangles. Well, I'll do that in the same fashion as I did before. Notice that as I put that green in, I've turned the corner up and then I've put it back. Over here, I've got to put in the orange to that position. Okay, so I know now that with what I've done, because I have returned these corners every time, the overall number of twists is 0. And that means I'm not going to run into the single twisted corner later in the solve. I've fixed that issue and I can move on. And I will move on now to the circle edge wings. Now on the grills, the crazy grills, these things came in pairs. And so this orange yellow, for example, could never be separated. But because I now have a face that turns, that orange can happily be separated from the yellow. And you can see that you end up with things like blue-green here, which is not normally going to be possible. What's another great example? Let's see if I can find any good example. An orange-red. Often I've found, two of the same color. Can't easily locate one of them at the moment. Doesn't really matter. But because that white face has separated them, we need to use the white face to bring them back. Now, also because the white face has separated them, I'm not going to be treating them as edge wing pairs. In other words, I'm not going to try and make a pair and then place the pair. All I'm going to try and do is place these things one at a time, bit by bit. The first lot that I'll do is the yellows. So I'm going to work from the bottom upwards, essentially. I look for a yellow on the top face and I say, well, in this case, I can just happily turn that down because there was no other yellows on that face. Now, there's also now no yellows on the top face, so I need to bring one there. Or I could actually look here and say, you know what, those two yellows, because it doesn't affect anything else at the moment, they could turn there. They're done. There's a yellow here, which also could go to there because that has none on it at the moment. Now that has put a yellow on that face, which is good. So I'm nearly ready to start placing some extra yellows. Now, because each of these has got a yellow on it, I can't sort of bring them up and replace them with another yellow because it'll knock that first yellow off. So what I want to do instead is just concentrate on this piece. I'm going to turn that up to that position. Notice that this one is in the lower half. This now needs to be replaced by that yellow. So I turn it on. It has not disrupted that. I undo that and I undo that corner twist. Obviously pretty important to keep that corner twist undone, or, you know, undo the corner twist that I do there. Now there's no yellows on the top. Let's find another one if I can. There's one here which I can move to the top, turn it off, undo, undo, and we'll now see if that is in a position. It's not in a position to place this one because if I turn that one up, it pushes it out. So let's see if I can get this one here done. And if I turn that up, you can see, that is now able to turn onto that position, undo, undo. I've got one to go. It's not on the top. Here it is here. Okay, so I just temporarily want to turn that over to here so that I can then take it to the white face. I'll then put these corners or the triangles back and we'll have a look and see where it belongs. It goes on this one. So again, that turns up. That yellow can now place into that position, undo, undo. Alrighty, so all of the yellows are done. The next ones I'm going to do are actually these ones here, not these ones. I'll do these ones later. These ones here, you can see the greens there. Essentially what I'm doing is looking for, you know what, wrong. I'm going to do these ones. I just changed my mind on the fly. Yep, I can. Okay, why am I going to do these ones? Well, because once these are done, I cannot worry about disrupting any of these when I do these ones. So I'm going to look, let's take this one here. It's a green position. The only way that I can place a green into that position is to turn that corner temporarily to put the position there. Now I notice that there's a green here, which is going to turn to there, which could come to there. So now that it's there, I turn it up to the top face, turn the top face, undo, undo. That is in position. I can turn that back, successfully done. Let's do the same thing over here, see if I've got a red. If I turn that red to there, I notice, yes, that is in a good position, that red one up the top. So I can now bring it to the top, put the red on, undo, undo. You might be wondering, is it always necessary to undo that top face? At this point, no, it's not, but it will be soon. I like to get into the habit of it. There's no more reds up there. I've got orange, blues, and greens. Let's see if this blue position is going to work. Yes, it is. There's a blue there. So that one's done. Greens and oranges. Well, there's an orange, so one of them should work. That one there. Okay, that one's done. There's another orange up there which also should work with this one. And that one's done. How are we going? Got one red to go, I think. Yep, and I can turn that one up. That one will come around and place it. Okay, and you can see that all of these bottom ones are done. The yellows are still done. It's now time to do these lower equator ones. They're a little bit easier because I don't need to do a setup first. So there's no oranges up there. There's lots of greens. Let's see if one of them will work. That one there. So green comes up. That one's done. And notice it has not disrupted anything we've already done. That's done. Do I have a red? Not that one, but this one, yes. Blue. That blue there should do the job for this one. And that will come from this one here. Come back to the oranges. There are some oranges there now. Is that all of them? Nearly. There's a red here that still hasn't been done. And there's no reds on the top. They're all sort of here. So what I'll do is just temporarily turn one of them to there, put it on the top face, and see if that's a good one to go. Yes, it is. And all of those lower equator pieces are done. Are they? No, I had one orange over here. Okay, let's see. There's an orange. Ah, I see why that happened. Because I did not turn back that corner when I should have. And that's the nice thing about doing this, is that you can very easily see, that should have gone back. Now, in order to get that turned back, I'll do that now. And I probably did knock out an orange, but let's see if I can find where the orange is. There is an orange there, but it's the wrong one. So I'll just grab this one. And then put that corner back. Okay, now I'm ready again to place this one here. And that, of course, seems to have knocked out that green one. So it's a bit of a cautionary tale here to make sure you always turn back your corners. Let's just check that everything else is looking okay. It is. It's only that green one now. And that's the wrong one. I think it's going to be, it's tricky to tell if, I don't think it's that one. It could be that one. So what I'll do is just turn that one up the top and see if that'll do the job, and it will. Okay, that's in. Like I said, always turn your corners back at the end of the moves. We're now back to this blue, and that blue is up there. So that can be turned on, put into position, and that should finish the job. There we go, after all that. Okay, so all of that lower half is done. Now, for the upper half, we've got a slightly different approach here. We obviously don't need to do the whites because the whites will automatically be done when the others are finished. So let's have a look. This piece here needs to be an orange. And what I'm thinking is when I turn that up to the top, if I turn that corner, just align things here. If I turn that corner up to the top, that needs to be orange, and it can come from here or here. I don't want to bring it from here because that edge is involved with this corner turn. So whenever I'm doing this, what I'm thinking is you can see that that edge and that edge are both involved. So I want my piece to be on one of the other edges. But I'm thinking that orange piece can come from there. In other words, it could cycle across. I could do a white to the white, white to the orange, orange into here. That's how I need to think about it. And because my piece movement does the corner first, what I end up doing, So I'll turn that up there, and then I'm going to move this orange piece onto that position. But I'm not simply going to do that because it knocks out this triangle. So instead of doing that, what I need to do is turn it on there with an edge piece series. So 1 turn, 2 turns, undo, undo. And you'll notice that the triangle has not moved. I've brought a couple of yellows up here, and I've got the orange piece where I want it. I can now undo that corner turn and then undo those face turns. Now, when all's said and done, what you'll see is that that orange piece has been placed. None of the yellows have been touched. Nothing on the lower layer has been touched. But I've successfully got that orange. And in fact, it's just those 3 pieces there that have cycled. That is how I want to approach this. So let's have a look. There's a green here, or there's a position for green here, which will turn up to there. There's a green which will be able to turn around. So I'll turn its position up. I now want to turn this on with a 3 cycle. Now it's attached, undo, and undo 3 cycle. And that green has been placed. Here's a red, and that red can turn up to there. Now this time, because my piece movement really wants to be white to red to orange, the direction is that direction. So I'm first going to do my face turns, then I'm going to turn my corner up. White to red, down to the bottom. Okay, that's down the bottom here stored. Turn my position up and now undo the face turns. And undoing those face turns puts the yellows back and it stores that red where it should be. Now I undo the corner turn and it is safely in position. There's a blue here, but that is the wrong blue for this position. However, that one is the correct one. And it's going to go orange to white to blue. So I turn the corner first, then the face turns, and undo the corner turn and undo the face turns. And I'm sure you'll agree it's pretty straightforward to carry this out. There's a white that's going to there. That'll be the correct blue piece. So corner up. Now blue comes around. Undo corner. Undo face turn. Now we're going, the blues are done, both the greens are done. I've got 1 red and 1 orange. Again, I've got this orange here, so it's going to go white to orange to white. And because the piece movement is like that, I'm going to do the face turns first. That's done. Now, the last one is a red. There's no reds up the top. So there's a couple of things that I could do here, but the most logical one is probably to grab this red one here, temporarily turn it to there, or in fact, up to there, I think. And what I'll do is just cycle it across to here to store it here. So that's the red that I really want. Okay, the red cycled there. Now, let's think about, if I put these corners back, yes, I've broken the yellows, that'll come back in a minute. what I'm really trying to do is put the red into that position. So now I can look at the blue going to this white, the white going to the red going to the blue. So I now carry this out as if everything was normal, and I'll just cycle those three pieces. So corner comes up and the red across, corner comes down, and then undo. Now, normally that'd be it, but of course we've got this broken yellow part, and so we want to turn that back and now undo the initial cycle that we did to put the red over there. And you remember that we turned that and then that, and so to undo it, we turn this face, then the white face, undo, undo. Now that that's all done, we can replace the corners. That blue's still in and that red has been placed. So all of those are now done. And that only leaves us with these top bits. Now the top bits, what we want to essentially do is really similar to what we just did. For example, let me just see if I can find one that's going to work nicely. There, oh, that blue potentially. I'll see if the orange is going to be easier, just for the first one. That is going to go, I think it will. Okay. There's an orange position, and there's an orange piece up here which I'd like to place into that position. So I've got a couple of options here. I can either turn the orange position to there and then do the same thing, but you'll notice that it's got that green in the way. So what I'm better off doing is saying, well, if I turn it this way, that's the orange position, and this other piece is actually a white piece. So that is clearly the best thing to do as my setup. So I've turned it there as a setup. I now want to put the orange onto there. So these are the face turns. Then I'll undo that corner setup and undo the face turns. Now, this is the point at which I need to start returning the upper face for sure. Because what I've just done is place an orange piece. If I just randomly turn this, then I've got no orange piece there anymore. So from now on, I definitely need to always be undoing the upper face turns as well. Okay, let's see, that red piece came out. Let's see if that can be used now. That's going to go to there. Yes, it can. So this green is going to go to that position, which is the white position. So the obvious thing would be to turn it like that, so that the three pieces are the red that has to go here, the green can come to there, and that white is one I don't care about. Again, the piece movement now has to be like that. So I'll do the face turns. Let's put the red there, undo the corner turn, undo the face turns. Okay, red's there, orange is there. What have I got up the top? I've got a blue and a green. Let's see if it goes there. No, what about this one? That looks pretty good. That blue and the white and the green. So if I'm thinking about piece movement here, the blue is going to go to there. The white wants to go to there. The green comes to here. So I can do that corner turn first. Then I can turn the green around to here using face turns. There's the green, undo that corner turn and undo the face turns. Let's put the green on. That orange is still there. The red's still there. Let's keep going. I've got a couple of blues up here now. Surely one of them will work. Yep, that white will go to there. So the white can go to there to the blue. Turn the corner up. Put the blue on. Corner back down. Okay. The next one, this white is going to the blue there. You can see that's the correct position. So I can sort of go this white across to the blue, across to that white. So because that's the piece movement, I'll just turn the faces first, then bring the position up. It's done. Bring that position up and undo the faces. And put the position back down. Both the blues are done. What have we got? One red, one green, one orange. Now, there's none of them are up the top at the moment. They're all in the other positions. So the sort of thing that I would probably do here is to say, look, I just need to get one of them out. So I'm going to get this red one out to that position there so that it can be used to place here. So I'll turn it up to that position, then do face turns with this white. Undo, undo. Okay, now that red is out and it can be used to place into that position where the orange is. So the piece movement, orange to white to red. So I've got to turn the corner first. Now I'll turn the red on with the face turns. Undo the corner, undo the face. The red's in, let's put the orange up there. We'll go grab the orange using this one, so green to white to orange. And the last one will be this green one here. You can see clearly how that's going to work. Okay, and what we find is that when we've completed all of them, the whites must automatically be done as well. So all of those circle edge wings are now placed. We haven't placed them as pairs, we've placed them as individual pieces, but much, much easier than trying to pair them up and then position them. That leads to the next stage, which is the same as the grills. It's to solve these little circle edge pieces here to get all of the circle bits done. The only stipulation here is you don't want to turn the white face, and it's not because it will muck anything up, it's because it will achieve nothing. Nothing will actually end up moving if you use the white face as your face turn here. So I'll just choose another face to demonstrate this initially. Let's have a look what's nice and simple. If anything, there we go. This yellow can go down to here. The orange will come across, the red will come to there. Those are the three pieces that will move. It's a very simple turn. It's an upper face, then a right corner away from me, and then an upper face anti-clockwise and a left corner away from me. And undo. The only three pieces that have moved there are that little red piece, the yellow piece, and the orange piece. And you can see the yellow one's been put in there. This is just the corner piece series, but it's using corner turns here instead of face turns for my left and right. So that's the sort of thing that I want to do. What I would normally end up doing is trying to get the white ones done first, because then I can just hold the cube like this and not worry about the white pieces. So let's see where they are. There's one there, and one there. All right. If I was to hold that there, what I notice is that I can bring this face around and that white piece can now be moved across to there. Now I've got one that I don't really want to disturb. So what I'll also do is bring this face up, which will coincidentally, as well as placing the white, it will place the blue in there and the green in there. That is fantastic. All done. We'll undo that setup move, undo that one. Couple more whites to go. Let's see what we can do. Got this white one here. Now I noticed that if I turn that like that, now ordinarily that red piece would stay there and it'd be nice and useful, but it doesn't on this occasion. It actually moves it around, which is not good. However, I can try that and we'll see if that makes any difference in terms of what I want. Potentially, yes. So I've done a setup turn there initially, and it's really easy to see that I've got to undo that setup by these circle edge wings. Now what I want to do is get the white and the red turned around like this. And I know that I want the white to go to that red position. So my piece movement is going to be the same here. It also involves this white piece, and that's going to go across to there. And if we think where that's come from, that is actually a green piece. So I don't really want this white to go across to there. So what I would just try and do initially is put any other piece up there that I don't care about, which in this case might be that yellow piece. So I'll put that there. They're my setups. All I care about really is getting this white piece into there. So I'll now carry out the sequence. That's been done. I'll undo any setups. That was the first one. There's the second one. There's that white piece safely stored. Bring it back, and that's 3 of my whites done. This fourth one, we'll see if we can do some sort of, in fact, that doesn't need a setup because that can now, basically this can go here, this can go across there, the green can go up. Easy. Okay, all the whites are done. Again, only reason I do that is just I can sort of forget about the white face now. And I'll just continue working my way through some of these. I'll do one more. Let's see what we've got. I've got an orange piece here. I can bring a position up like that. I note that that's a green piece. So I can always look at the back and say, can I get, let's say that piece there, around to this position? Well, I certainly can, because it's on the bottom face. So if I turn it around like that, it can now happily be turned up to that position. So what setup moves have I done? Actually only 3. This one, in fact, I could make it simpler by turning the bottom face first. That's really easy to undo. And then the only 2 setup moves are this one and that one. And I think what's got to go where? Well, again, I've got the orange. Let's just undo and see. The orange was going to go to that position. That's right. So the orange is coming to there. So I just had to rethink all of that. Yep, the orange comes to there. That red will go across to there. And the yellow, in fact, will go to there. So that's good. Away we go. Undo those setups. And that, what did that get done? The yellow, and I think in the end that might be all I got done, because I had the orange, but that has moved somewhere else. What I will do now, so I did get one done, which is good. I'll just do one sequence going the other way. So this time I want the piece movement going like that. The orange will come to there, this orange will go across, and that yellow will come to there. So it's just the mirror. So an anti-clockwise turn of the upper face, and then the left corner. Okay, you can see those are done. I'll keep working through these and come back in later. All right, I've got 3 of these things remaining. I've got the red, it's got to go there. Got this green, which has got to go to the blue, and then that blue has got to come back up there. Now the setups here are a little bit tricky, but they're not too bad. So what I'm thinking is that as long as I remember red to green, that's the piece order, red to green. I'm first going to put the red down to there. I'm then going to move this green up to the top with a face turn. Now, I will definitely remember that front face turn because that's the one that could cause issues if I don't undo that. So red to green, so the piece movement's going to be like this. And then I've got to get the blue up to here. Well, I can do that by first turning it to that position and then turning it to that position. So to undo, I'm going to undo these and then undo that front face turn. But those 3 pieces are now exactly where I need them to be, and away I go. Okay, that's done. Let's undo in the order that I undid them. That one first, and that one, you can see the green is stored. Then I had to undo the front face turn, and finally this one here. And clearly all 3 of those pieces have been placed. Nothing else has been touched. And that's how I would normally finish off, in some fashion like that, the last of those circle edges. That leads us to the reduction of the big edges. And this is exactly the same as on the grills, except that I do not want to turn the white face when I'm doing face turns here. So I'll take you through a couple and then cut through. So what I'm looking for, in fact, there's a pair that's already done. So I'm initially looking to get a pair like this, and then I'm going to match this with the 3rd piece to create a complete reduced edge. So I'll just find the other white-green piece. Which, as usual, is never... Oh, there it is. Of course, right next to it. Now, I've got to think that that's going to turn to there. So I'd like the white-green to be green-white in that position. So to do that, I can just happily turn it up there, undo. Just a standard 4-move sequence there to put it where it needs to be. Now, I'll turn it across using that corner turn. That's made the reduced pair. I now just want to replace that with anything else that's not yet done, but I don't want to turn the white face. So in this case, because normally I'd just do this sort of thing, but it's going to turn that white face. Because of that, what I'll do is replace it with, say, one over here, well away from the white face. Or this one, doesn't matter which one. Okay, it's stored over there. Let's bring that back. And what we'll see is that none of the circle parts have been affected in doing that, but it has made that reduced edge. So I'll just do one more where I didn't have that. Let's find, so I'm looking for, normally I'm looking for a piece that, like an edge, a middle edge piece that can be turned onto one of its matching other color pieces. So let's say orange green, on orange green there. Will this one work? Yep. So there's an orange green here. I want to put it into that position as orange green. So I can do that by cycling as follows. Now it's sitting there. So any combination of face turns that don't involve the white face are always okay. Now I can turn this across to there to make a pair. First of all, take it off, replace it with something else. Undo the corner turn. Now I'm where I was just before. I've got a pair of orange greens. I've got to find the other one. Okay, it's over there. Let's bring it. I've just got to think where this is going to turn. And it's either going to turn to here, so I need the other piece there, or it's going to turn here, so I need it there. Now it's on this position currently. If I was to turn it there, it needs to be green-orange. And that, ordinarily, I would be able to get it up there, but I've got to turn that white face to do it, so I don't really like that. What about here, orange-green? Can that be done? Yes, it can in the same manner. So bring it down, put it on, undo, undo, and that is now able to be turned to make the triplet. Replace it with something else. There's that done. Undo the corner turn, and we've now got the orange green as well as whatever the other one was. Was it white green? It was. There it is. I said that's all I do. I'll just search. There may be one here that is really handy to look at. This one here. You'll notice the white red is next to another white red, but it's flipped. I can get this done fairly easily by turning this white red onto here and having the third white red piece there matching up with it. So let's just see if I can do that initially, if it's easy enough to do. There it is. And I'd like, it's not going to be quite as simple to do here. What about, that's the other option there, is to turn it to there and have the red white. Is that easy enough? Again, not super simple. Let's just see. Although I think it is doable. Okay, so just as a setup there, I'm going to place the red white into that position first of all. There it is. I'll just undo this setup that I had. Okay, the red white is going to turn onto that position, and what I want to do is flip this whole triplet. Normally I would just do that by doing a down, down, up, up, and then bringing it across. A standard sequence to do that, but the problem is I've got this white center here. So before I do anything, I'm just going to move that white center to the back, completely out of the way. I've still got these pieces where I need them to be. Now, I can bring that to there. I'm going to flip that whole triplet with this triplet here as I normally would. Down, down, up, up. And then, there it is here. I'm going to bring its position across to there, put it onto its position, undo, undo. And you'll see that the red whites that used to be here are now here. Now, I can then go ahead, turn back the red white, and you'll see it's formed the triplet with that one that was initially dodgy. Now you remember that we turned the white face to the back, so we'll just undo that now, and you'll see all the circle bits are back together. I've just made that white green. We still have the orange green. We still have the white green as well. So there's a couple of techniques. I'm going to continue working through these and come back in with the last three. Okay, I've got three remaining, and the yellow, blue, the white, orange, and the blue, orange. And what I'm aiming for here is to get all three of them looking like this, where we have a pair of pieces with another one. So that's already done. Let's see if initially I can perhaps try and get either this blue orange to here, or perhaps this blue yellow to there. Doesn't really matter which one. Let's firstly move this blue orange. If I think about that blue orange coming to there, the blue's going to be there. And so I would like the blue of the blue orange piece to be there as well. So we'll turn that up into position. Okay. Now, that now enables me to turn this blue orange on to make that pair. Now, I'm going to be using this third piece to jump into here. What I don't want to do is disrupt this pair that I already have. And so I just need to think, when I put that triplet into here, I want the white-orange pair to be in that position, not that position. That's the only thing to keep in mind. So we'll bring that like that. We'll replace it with this one. And in order to do that, I'll turn the position across, bring it up to the position, undo, undo. That's got that as a pair. Now I'll turn that back, and you can see it's kept that. And it's going to do one of a couple of things. It's going to do this, potentially, or it's going to make me 3 pairs. Now, I'm just going to undo that and see if we can do it the other way. Okay, well, this time I've got the blue-yellow here to turn to there and make a pair. And I'll replace it with this piece, which has been set up so that the 2 come back to here. And I'll just use that as a third piece. And we'll turn this back, and let's have a look what we've got. You'll see in this occasion, we actually do have the 3 pairs. Now, that's what you want to get, because it now means you can just 3 cycle those pairs home as normal. And I'll demonstrate that first of all. So let's just think the white, the white orange, let's put that one up there. Okay, so I've got this white orange that's going to turn onto that piece there. My third piece, which is here, when I turn that corner, I can see it's these right-hand 2 pieces that are going to turn back to the yellow-blue. There's the yellow-blue, so I need the right-hand 2 pieces to be there. So I'll just turn them up there as my third piece. So I go make the triplet, replace them with this one, ensuring to get those 2 pieces to there. So to do that, I'll have to turn them on, replace, undo, undo. That now ensures that when I turn this back, I have successfully made that yellow-blue triplet. That one magically comes together, and that was the other one. So that is really what you're aiming for. Now, we saw earlier that I did one turn and it ended up with something different. Let me have a look at that. This is the sort of thing that we saw before. We had 2 left, and one of them had a nice pair and the other one didn't. Now, if you get that situation, what you want to do is grab the dodgy one here. So kind of ignore that one. Grab the dodgy one, which is a white-orange. And by that, I mean it is flipped next to another piece of the same color. And I want to turn that onto the third piece of that triplet. So I've got the bad white-orange next to this one. But if I turn that corner, it'll match up with the good white-orange there. So what I'm going to do is turn that around. Notice it pushes these ones out. I'm then going to flip this in place with any other piece that I don't care about. So I'll use this one here. How do I flip these 2 edges? Well, down, down, up, up, and then followed by replacing that into that position by turning the position across, putting the piece on, undo, undo. Now, that white-orange, which was over here with the third piece, may be turned back, and it will automatically correctly solve, and therefore this will also correctly solve. So that's I guess the hardest you'll come across, but that is the end of reducing those big edges. Now, the next stage is to place the big edges. We're down to essentially a circle cube type solve. Again, because of the nature of this puzzle, there is one thing that can happen which would not happen on a crazy grills. So I'll get to that point and I'm just going to place all my white edges and then 3 of my middle layer edges. All right, I'm at that point now, and I've got 1, 2, 3 middle layer edges. I'm just going to do the 2 yellows on the back. So that first one, that yellow blue, that can go around to there. So I'll just do a setup and put it into position. Notice that because I've done my circle edges, they now have a fixed position. The next one is the yellow red. That's got to flip over. And put them all back, and we'll see what's what. Right, we'll notice that the green orange is in its position but flipped. I don't care about the flipping at the moment. But the yellow orange and the green yellow need to swap. And as I said, that's something that you will not find on the crazy grills, but you certainly can find it here. And the only way to avoid it is a completely impractical way, is when we do the corners, to actually place all the corners in position and then make sure we do not turn the upper face a single turn after that. Well, if you think back to the sorts of things we were doing, that is, as I say, completely impractical. So we've got a swap of edges now. What on earth do we do? Well, to fix this, I'm going to use the white face as always, but I need to turn a side face, any of the side faces, a single turn. Doesn't matter which direction. So let's say that I turn the side face like that. I now want to replace these 4 circle edges using the white face. So the first thing that I might do is just put the white green back into that position. And I'm going to have to use another white over here to do it. So for example, I'll put this white blue over to here and at least get the whites up to that face. So I'm turning the white face, and what I care about, you'll notice, is that the blue circle parts and the green circle parts, they are back into their position. Not so concerned with the outer edges at the moment. I will be soon. Now, the next thing I think, well, I've got a red that's got to go to that position. So let's turn this as a single setup, and I'm going to bring the red to there, and again I'll use a white. Now you remember that I did a single setup turn, so I'll undo that setup turn, because once I do the initial side move turn, that has fixed the problem. I don't want to do another one to unfix the problem. So the green and the blue are back, the red are back, or the red is back. Now I've got a yellow there, that's okay. I want to get this orange back to this position. So you can see that the orange needs to go here, the white needs to go here, the yellow needs to come back to there. So again, a single setup move. I'll now carry out a 3 cycle and then undo that setup move, which means the problem has still been fixed. All of the circle edges are back where they belong. And from here, I want to go and resolve my outer edges. And of course, I don't want to turn the white face to do that now, so I can do something like swapping those 2 white ones first. They're in, and just returning that. So all the white ones are done. That's done, that's done, and that's done. So we're back to here. Let's now go ahead and do the last 2 there. The yellow red's already in. That yellow blue, we'll put that into place. And that'll leave me with 1, 2, 3. Now, you remember before I had a swap of these 2 pieces. If you look now, I've got the green orange going to here, the yellow orange going to here, the yellow green. So that has created that 3 cycle, which is exactly what I want. Of course, you may get that 3 cycle straight away, but if you get the swap of edges, that is how you deal with it. Now, you can have the same sort of scenarios here that you would have on a 3x3 cube. So in this particular scenario, I have all 3 of them kind of flipped going into position. So I don't want to try and turn them into position. I'd like to turn them out of position. So instead of the green orange going to here, I'll turn it across to here. And what that will do will get me a scenario where now 2 of them are going to turn correctly into their position. The third one will not. And so that's a standard 3 cycle that I can finish things off with. And all of the outer big edges are now solved. Now that leads us to the final stage, which is the corners. There are no surprises. You can actually use the white face to do the corners. I just use the corner piece series, but you can use whatever you want to use. And before you know it, you'll be down to your last 3, and you can go ahead and cycle those ones home. And that will finish off this puzzle. There's no swapped corners or anything like that. You'll notice that we've not got a single twisted corner because we took care of that earlier. And you can kind of imagine if we did have a single twisted corner, we would end up needing to do a bunch of resolving here, which is not fun. But as it is, that's the Crazy Grill's Mercury solved. As always, thanks for watching.